Welcome everyone to the first weekly meetup of 2021. Year in review is the theme for tonight, with a little bit of a preview for 2021 as well. So thank you for everyone for joining. Quick agenda. We're going to start with a performance overview from 2020 and give out some awards. We'll do that for Trade of the Week first, then the featured presentations. After that, we'll go into featured presentation updates. We've invited back all of the presenters, and I think most of them are on tonight for quick comments and Q&A. Then we did have a new idea, Trade of the Month, this past Wednesday night. So we'll quickly update you guys on what was chosen for Trade of the Month for January. And then we'll do Trade of the Week. I put 10 p.m. there. I anticipate this may be a longer session than usual, depending on how the Q&A goes. If we can finish right at 10, we'll do that, but there's a chance we'll go over a little bit. Okay, so with that, disclaimer first. So Story Trading is not an investment advisor. Investing in securities involves significant risk of loss. We are recording tonight's event. It's going to be made available to paid subscribers only. Just leave that up for a few seconds for you to take a look at. Okay, so what is Story Trading? What do? We level the playing field with Wall Street insiders through crowdsourced collaboration, powerful data visualizations to understand the story behind the trade, and that's coming with the app that we're developing. Access to management, which we do here on our Zoom events. And we did recently raise some good capital to build our own app, so that's going to go full steam ahead in development, and I'll give a little update at the very end on that. Nope, that's right there, actually. So we're forecasting right now, July, maybe June release. We'll see how that goes. So we want to get started. 2020 performance review, along with some awards. Rob, if you could unmute yourself and help me walk me through all these statistics and everything.
No problem, sure.
Great. So we're starting with Trade of the Week. Go ahead, Rob.
So the first award's going to go to Ashley. So me and Rob are going to be left out of this because we're part of the business. And Ashley got the second highest number of wins with 6 total. We love when people participate in Trade of the Week because that gives everyone more of an opportunity to kind of trade around every week. And I know story trading is a combination of like long-term holders and traders, but when you bring that all together, it makes the community more powerful.
Great, thank you. What does Ashley win?
So he wins $100 to his favorite charity, paid for by Story Trading.
Great, thank you. And just a quick explanation of why we're doing your favorite charity. Paying for performance is probably something we can't do with Story Trading. We can do our tips for research and different things like that, but when we award people for performance, there could be some SEC regulations around that. So that's why we're going to donate it to your favorite charity. All right, what do we got here?
Now we have Trade of the Week, the highest average return, and that was Thomas. Over 2 trades, weekly trades, he got a return of 50%, which is pretty much higher than everyone else.
Awesome, congratulations. I don't know if Thomas is on, but Ashley and Thomas, by the way, just reach out to us privately, Rob or myself, or the Story Trading handle, and let us know where you'd like us to donate that $100.
And yeah, you can let us know if you want to end your name anonymous and the name of the charity, and we'll take care of that for you.
Sure, yeah, however you like it done.
And then the next one is Trade of the Week and Compound Return. And again, we left off me and Ben, and we picked so many, of course we had to win. And then Thomas was left out because he won already. So that brings us down to Steve with a 50% compound return over 4 different Trade of the Weeks.
Great, awesome. And I do also want to mention past performance is no guarantee of future results. Like when you look at that, I don't know how I got that 270%. Maybe it's because I get to choose first sometimes, when there's obvious picks for Trade of the Week. I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of incredible. I wish I compounded my Trade of the Weeks. I didn't. So, but it was probably luck. So don't count on me on the future.
Now for the featured presentations. Here's the 2020 performance review. So we're not giving an award for this one, but overall, the top stock of the year that was presented was INTZ by Aaron Warwick, and it increased 161% since it was presented. In the close second, you also have GMGI, close to 150%, and then Unity by Florian, which was presented pretty recently at 124%.
Yeah, September. I also want to note out for the GMGI, Igal has actually brought that to the community long before it was presented. So just give him a shout out there if that was presented when he actually started, informing everyone about it in our chat rooms. That would probably be over 200% return. Likewise, I want to mention David's Tea down here that Florian presented. That was one Mark Gomes presented. It was actually in his YouTube, but people picked on it like crazy. I remember that it was like $1, and a lot of people jumped on it for whatever reason. That particular pick resonated with a lot of people in our community, and so since that point, it's obviously up tremendously. So just wanted to add that caveat on both GMGI and David's Tea.
Yeah, even some of the picks at the bottom that have negative returns, we're still bullish on them. They were either picked more recently or they went down a bit after they were picked, but there's still a lot of people's like long-term holds, TPCS, APT, PBI, DT, and we see them doing well in the future.
And just to note, there were 3 stocks that were quote unquote closed out: HHT, My Size, and SHLL. Actually, I probably shouldn't have closed out My Size. I'm going to go over this one, Rob. This is breaking down the performance by presenter, so we can kind of get a better sense of by presenter how people are doing. Aaron Warwick, 2 out of his 3 picks up there, 40 and 160%. I did have that My Size that I lost 30%, so that was a bad close. The thing's up now, probably close back to 150. What else is worthy of pointing out? Well, Chris Hampton, 2 picks here, between 60 and 70%. Dan Carlson, this one's pretty amazing. 3 picks, at least 2 of them, all of them recent since August, 58, 56, 83%. So that's really noteworthy. What else we got here? And we got Sultan's 3 picks at 87, 18%, and one of them still down 20%. So just wanted to point that out. And
I think BCRX, he called a little before he presented it because it's up over like 100% since he first started talking about it.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what do we do here to pick the winners on all that?
So this is the presentation analysis through 25 total presentations, and we definitely want to thank everyone who presented. It takes a lot of like extra work and courage to get behind the stock and kind of stake your reputation on it and say, I believe this is going to do well. And as far as positive returns, 17 out of the 25 stocks are up. And the average return of all the stocks together, including the closed out stocks, is 38.3%, with the S&P return being 16.26%. Watching this over time has actually made me create my entire portfolio out of this list of stocks, and it's been doing pretty well.
It looks like we missed I just got a note. Our bad, Ashley, Ben, our intern. If you can go back and look, we'll update these numbers. We did miss one presentation apparently. OSSIF was presented by Ashley. I do remember that a couple months ago. So we'll go back and plug those numbers in. We're gonna put a like a reference sheet or something together for everybody. So we'll get that taken care of. Sorry about that, Ashley.
And so we decided the winners by taking the average return and then multiplying it by the number of times they presented, which would be basically their total return. So Aaron, I believe, comes in first with 67% average over 3, which gives you about 190, 195%. Dan comes in second which is also very impressive because most of his stocks were presented very recently, and his average is about 195 as well.
Amazing.
Or 195. And then Florian with 4 presentations with an average return of 42% or about 169, 170.
Awesome. I mean, these are amazing returns. Consistency, that's what counts there with the 3+ presentations between Aaron, Dan, and Florian. So good job, guys. Congratulations.
Definitely.
PTQQ. Oh, well, Aaron's average has to go up a little bit. We may have had a data error there with PTQQF, Ben. If you can, let's go back and check this. PTQQF, where are we at? It says 0%, 115, 115. I don't know. So let's see if we can check that right now. $126. So we got the close wrong on that. So Aaron's numbers are even higher. Ben, you got a note of that?
Yeah, I use a formula in Google Sheets to get the numbers. Maybe it messed up. I'll double check though all the numbers just to make
sure.
All
right, and it doesn't change the winner, but Aaron's doing even better than what's presented here at 67%.
And then Florian said he was involved in 2 of the presentations, but he wasn't the head presenter. So.
Okay, well, we'll look at that.
We'll look at that too.
We'll look at that. Maybe we'll have to give Chris Hampton then an additional award. We'll push
I know. So on Unity, Florian had the 80%. He's down on David's T. And then he was involved in INV.
Right, yeah, that was a shared presentation with INV was shared with Christopher and Florian.
All right, so Florian does so much for the community. He's
yeah, we may have been a little biased there, Florian.
Sorry, Florian.
But anyway, we wanted to make sure you got an award. So we'll look at a couple of these possible corrections. Doesn't look like it's going to change the winners much. That PTQQF will got to get fixed. So thank you for that. What do you say? Up 9.5%. All right. So we want to move on. So make sure to contact everyone, and we'll get that money over your charities and put it in your name or anonymous, whatever you'd like. So we want to move on to updates from the presenters. What I'm going to do here is fix this PTQQF on the screen right now. Up about 9.5% plus 9.5%. Good. All right. So let me run through the comments I did get. We weren't sure who was going to make it tonight and who wasn't. So we got some comments here. Well, for the ones I presented, WTRH and Drio, my comments on that are WTRH, I'm no longer playing options on this, really because of the COVID sentiment, I think is over. Obviously has a lot of potential because of the valuation. So it's still a nice holding of mine. Dario, greater than $50 price target is what I have if they execute on the pipeline as promised. And a lot of that is news that we're expecting in Q1. If that news doesn't happen in Q1, we got to, take a closer look and see why the delays. So, but if they actually execute and deliver everything they've been talking about in Q1, I'm looking at over $50 this year, maybe by summertime. We'll see. Igal, again, I don't know if he's on, but he mentioned...
Yeah, Igal's on.
He is on. Well, mention his quick note anyway. Waiting for NASDAQ uplisting any day. Bought European gaming license, targeting US license, UK Playtech collaboration. Playtech might buy them out. From Christopher, and I put Florian there because that was a shared one with INVE. Christopher mentioned on IDN, the business continues to progress and grow extremely well, but revenues continue to be pressured by COVID. Q4 will probably still see 30% Q revenue. All right, and INVB, there's some warrant overhang around 10. Watch Q4 for forward guidance to allow us to break that barrier. Dan Carlson had one comment for all his 3, INB, FFP, and ATM, basically saying these big 3 are top picks over at TW Research. and he is looking for a major catalyst soon on all of them, and he thinks there's a chance they will all reach $50 or more in 2021. I'll be buying aggressively in each case. We don't have the last trade here, but I think they're all around between $15 and $17 on those three, and all recommended around $10. So, and is looking for 50 on all of them. All right, let's see what else we got.
We do have Ashley and Aaron online to comment on the first four.
Oh, okay. Let's do it. Let's get, you know what? Let's get a quick comment, and then we'll afterwards we'll open it up for more extended commentary. So, who wants to go first, Rob?
Let me see. Aaron or Ashley? Just write in the chat. Aaron's there. I'll unmute you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good deal. Good deal. So let's see. I'll start with Smith Micro. I mean, we're pretty familiar with that. I think most people in the community are. And I mean, what I would say there is, you know, there's been some people that are upset or confused or whatever you want to call it, that Bill mentioned on the last conference call, Bill Smith, the CEO, that there would be 3 contracts by the end of the year. You know, Bill has a history of, you know, what we would call over-promising and under-delivering in terms of, not so much in terms of that these deals don't go through, but in terms of timelines. And I actually had a conference call with a guy who runs a hedge fund that's quite interested in Smith Micro. And we talked to Bill Smith as well as the chief technical officer. I can't remember his name at the moment, for Smith Micro. And, you know, I asked Bill in a indirect way if it was correct, a way to think about, you know, that they had actually signed these contracts but were just unable to announce. And he said that was definitely a good way to think about what was going on there. So I'm quite confident that the contracts that he mentioned were signed and just unable to be announced. What was interesting too about what he said as it relates to that is he mentioned that a lot of these big carriers, they really don't want to say anything until, like, they don't want Smith to say anything until, like, they absolutely have to say something to their shareholders, because they want to try to get a leg up, you know, on the other. I mean, obviously there's a limited number of major carriers in every country and in the US. And so they want to, you know, get going on what they're doing before everyone else finds out about it. And so I thought that was interesting. And then he mentioned, you know, obviously after a quarter or two, the revenue would start. After the launch, the revenue would obviously become material, and they would have to name, you know, who their customer is. I just thought that was interesting because, you know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but the fact that he indicated, like, it seems to me maybe it's a good sized customer, one of them that they signed. I have speculation. It's merely speculation, triangulation, that Verizon may become a customer for SafePath. And I asked Bill directly about Verizon and noted that there were a lot of people that they've hired recently that were from Verizon, and maybe that was because you know, they were about to have a deal with SafePath, and he really tried to skirt away from that and said, like, you know, you just have to keep posted, but obviously, you know, Verizon's a big company and we would want to sign them, and we would definitely, like, you know, be going after their business. So I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe in 2021 we'll hear something about Verizon being on the radar, being, even better yet, being signed, or see something come out here. So that's kind of where Smith is. I do think those contracts have been signed. They're just not able to announce them. Should I go on to?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for
Okay.
Smith. Yep, we got INTZ
Okay.
and PTQ.
Okay, so INTZ intrusion, yeah, very interesting. I no longer have a position in them, primarily just based on the valuation. You know, it's interesting. I've considered a position again after this, even where it's at now, based upon what happened with the SolarWinds situation, and there could be. I think intrusion will. I think they'll win some customers. I'd be surprised, I guess, at this point if they don't. I just need to see a little bit more. I mean, their market cap compared to, they've got like $4 million in annual sales right now, which obviously could change a lot next year, but I just need to see a little bit more of actual numbers and not just hear about, from inside, but to actually see like audited numbers, or to get some verification, maybe not even have to wait for audited numbers, but get some verification. I've tried with some other people collaborating with me to try to get more info. And I did have a guy who's really high up in IT, with New York. And he basically, he didn't think there was a lot there. He wasn't super interested in what they're doing. And he reviews all sorts of cybersecurity products. That's his job. And I was hoping to get I can't think of the right word now, but basically they were going to show us how it works and things like that, a pilot. And, the guy the hedge fund guy that got me hooked up with them said, I'm not going to waste the guy's time. So we didn't do it, but I still think that Intrusion is going to win some seats. We'll just see if the price justifies what they're going to do. And they've been telling us since the summer about some TV spot that they were going to have a couple TV spots. Well, it's supposed to be like late October, early November before the election. And then that didn't happen. Well, then it was supposed to be December. And now I'm told it's going to be January. And so, I don't know what's going on there, but the more I hear about it, the more I think they're really more like paid spots. And so, it might be like some sort of advertisement. I'm not really sure. So I'm just in a wait and see mode with Intrusion right now.
So Aaron, we'll close, I guess, for the purposes of performance tracking, we'll lock that 160% gain in for you.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah, that's a solid gain. So.
Awesome.
And then PTQQF.
Yeah, so PTQQF, now like that's the opposite for me of Intrusion, which is like, I think they're at the very beginning. I think they can do 160%. I mean, really nothing's changed from the time that I presented them, except the price, barely, 9.5% or 10%. But I mean, I think the thing with ProTech, which is PTQQF, they've got two ways to win. One of them would be that their valuation multiple catches up with the rest of the industry, and they've got to do a couple things to do that. They've got to clean up their capital structure. I think if they get uplisted to a major exchange in the U.S. in 2021, that will be part of getting listed, is cleaning up the capital structure, and that will help the multiple take care of itself. They're laser focused on that. I know that for a fact, and I know they've already taken the first steps, like they just named a new independent director that they needed to be able to uplist. So just by their valuation multiple, like their EBITDA valuation multiple, for example, coming into line with industry norms, they could feasibly double just from that. And then secondly, they plan to, I don't have the data right in front of me, but it's, I think they're planning to at least, I think in 2021, I'm quite certain that they think they're going to have double the revenue run rate by the end of the year that they had for the whole year this year. So when you and by the way, as they do that, their margins improve, so their EBITDA margin should go, and they were really strong in their pre-announcement of earnings. You can go to their website and see that, but they're on track to probably double. So even if their valuation multiple stays the same, they could feasibly double using that same valuation just by their revenue growth. And then that doesn't even include a little bit of EBITDA expansion. So if you get both of those things happening, where the multiple comes into line with more industry norms, and they and their revenue grows the way that they expect that it will, then I mean, then you're talking about a grand slam. I think that the shares could triple from where we started, 115 by the end of 2021. So I'm very bullish on PTQQF. It's my second largest position after Smith Micro, for full disclosure.
Sounds good, Aaron. Thanks
Awesome.
for the
Thank
update.
you,
Thank you,
Aaron.
guys.
So now we'll jump to Ashley quick. I think he has his hand raised, so I'll unmute him.
All right. Well, it looks like, looking back, we got a little unlucky with the price at the time of the presentation. I think they had run up on sort of speculation of a buyout happening in June, and that did not happen, although it hasn't been sort of taken off the table. But the interesting update there is instead of getting bought out, they were looking to buy a company called Stadco that was supposed to close in December, particularly by the end of the year. So maybe we'll hear something in the next few days if that did close at the end of the year or not. Since May, I'd say the only other couple things is we know that COVID was a major headwind for them. There was scarcity of materials needed for machining. I believe that was ethanol, which was going to sanitizers, as well as sort of just a general logjam in terms of the projects that were moving through the kind of the contractors, subcontractors. A few funding bills have gone through for subs, funding for the Columbia and funding for 2 Virginias has been passed. So pretty much clear skies there. The backlog, I think during the last call, was sort of up to something like 17, 18 million. They said they thought they could turn most of that in a year. So the revenues are going to start to look pretty predictable at this point.
Cool.
In terms of valuation, I still think could be in the 3 to 5 range over the next year or two, and maybe the 4 to 8 if they're able to land that acquisition.
Awesome, Ashley. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, let's go through the next set. Here. Got a couple comments from Florian on Unity. Second. Yeah, Unity, the business itself is good with lots of tailwinds, but I've not followed it closely since it shot up 125%. Let's go through all of this beforehand. If you want to close that and lock that 125% gain in for your performance tracking, let us know. David's T was just recent, so nothing has changed since the presentation, minus 12%. Mark Gomes, I don't know if he's on, but we'll come to you if you are later for questions. He's saying that presented APT at 13. And then again at 9, doubled down. At these levels, the stock is greatly undervalued and management is buying back shares, but our easy money was made from 13 and 9 to 25 if you were able to sell at 25. Similarly, on summer 6 to 24, this is the easy money for summer, but here in the low teens, it has a potential to be a 4-bagger again, just not as quickly. All right, that's great to hear. Rob, before we go down to Morgan and yourself, let's Sultan's comments on BCRX is positioned to nab more than the 206 patients needed to hit 100 million annual sales in 2021. Additionally, we can look forward to a first quarter data update. Its oral factor D inhibitor, et cetera, et cetera. Arcus, with over 700 million in cash, paving a financial runway into 2023 and several key data catalysts in 2021. There's ample upside potential ahead. That's great. And Kintera has been down 20% between multiple phase 2 data readouts for Kintera's GBM program, participating in GCAR's registrational GBM Agile clinical study and advancing its CMDC program. Kintera has a potential to exceed 100 million market cap next year. All right, so do we have any comments from Morgan, or is he on for MNINM?
We didn't get any comments from Morgan, but I can give some comments on it.
Okay.
So it was Minim was a merger between 2 companies. One was a router-based company. The other was a security-based company. They're combining routers with security, and the merger has happened.
Outlook?
So now it's just kind of wait time for them to merge the technologies and build out.
Do you know if Morgan's still bullish on that, recommending it?
Last time I talked to him was bullish a few weeks ago, but
Okay.
I haven't heard from him since. I sent him a message recently, so as soon as he gets back to me, we could update that.
Okay, cool. And how about your two stocks here, Rob?
So I have Real Networks and PBI. They're still positions, either holdings or interest for me. Real Networks, I believe, is also in a wait time phase. They finally sold off Napster, or they're finalizing it, and they're concentrating on the facial recognition part of their business. They have one of the best products in the business for facial recognition, but they don't have large margins or make large profits off facial recognition. So until they get large, like towns or governments behind their technology and paying for it, they're not going to take off. The good thing is they are starting to get large customers, and the government and the US Navy are looking at utilizing their technology. And a lot of facial recognition technology is very advanced in China, but we're not going to be using any security-based technology from China because of the conflicts. So I could see this company doing well in the next 2 to 3 years. So it's also, it may not be a quick win, but it's a good long-term hold. And then Pitney Bowes, this could take off a little quicker. Pitney Bowes recently got into e-commerce. Previously, they were into like packaging and shipping and things like that, but not e-commerce. They're getting into e-commerce in a big way and shipping, I think, tens of millions of packages or hundreds of millions. And recently, they had price increases and dramatic increases in demand because of Christmas and COVID at the same time, and the demand through all the e-retailers like Target and Amazon, things like that. So by their next quarterly report, which I believe is in February, we should hear more about that. And they did spike up to 750 at one point before dropping back down, but I think the next quarterly should be good.
Awesome. Thank you, Rob. So before we open a Q&A, I just want to give an opportunity for any of the presenters, Sultan, Dan Carlson, Christopher, anyone, if you want to add an additional comment beyond the prepared comment you gave me earlier, just go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll give you the mic for a couple minutes, and then after that, we'll open it up to Q&A. So I guess, you know what, just raise your hand for Q&A as well. And if one of the presenters are raising their hands, we'll go to them first.
So Dan Carlson, I believe, is raising his hand.
Yeah, Aaron, I see your hand raised. I'll unmute you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
After Aaron, sorry, Ben, after Aaron, just go to Dan Carlson.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment on TPCS. I know Ashley, that was his pick and everything, but I've been involved in it as well. And so I have a source who's close to the company that says that this deal with Stadco is definitely not off, and that there is still hope that it'll be signed, that the deal will be finalized sometime in January. But, not surprisingly, they're running into a little bit of the creditors are tough negotiators. Let's put it that way. So that's kind of the status that I've heard about that here very recently in the last couple of days.
Cool. Thank you, Aaron. Let's go to Dan Carlson.
All right, Dan, I just unmuted you.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, Dan. And again, just want to thank you for these awesome picks. I love the consistency, and they're all recent too. 83, 758. So good job.
Consistency is kind of random, obviously, but the two most recent ones, I'm not going to. The story is pretty much unchanged at this point. So no reason to talk about them. But Immune was the first I presented, which was last summer. I believe it was Immune was the first I presented, and the thesis was that they got two programs that look interesting. The Quellar program for COVID, and the X program 1595 for Alzheimer's. And now is a very interesting time. I actually bought stock about 10, 12 days ago, and I was telling people I think the stock will double in January, and actually it's pretty much doubled since I bought it 10 days ago. I still think it'll double in January from here.
Wow.
So it's incredibly timely. That's why I just want to talk about it. They're presenting Alzheimer's data sometime in January. They haven't announced a date yet, but they have said they're going to have a key opinion leader call around that presentation. It's an open label study. You don't have a key opinion leader call on an open label study unless you know you have good data. The trial was a 12-week trial, and they stated in the trial protocol that they didn't expect to have any data on cognition, but every patient pretty much has asked to remain on the drug. So you had 12-week data from some patients in July. Those patients have been on for close to 9 months now. They have enough data that it's a small data set of patients, and it's not double blind. So just keep that in mind. But I believe they're going to show positive cognition data in Alzheimer's, which is a game changer. No one's ever done that before in what's a potentially $20-30 billion indication. So I think the stock's going to boom when they announce data in January. And at the same time, if you do any reading on COVID, I mean, NIH published a study I put out to my group recently that the issue that a lot of people are having in COVID in terms of your brain and your sense of smell, et cetera, is from the overactive immune system. And that's what their drug suppresses, is inflammation and overactive immune system. And they put out a shareholder letter last week that said, we don't know what's happening with our trial, but we think we're making an impact on patients and the healthcare system. That's a very telling statement for a company to be making in a shareholder letter. So my thinking is you'll get positive. It's not going to be it's a go, no go decision from the Data Safety Monitoring Board, but you're going to get a positive decision by them to complete the trial sometime in January in COVID. And so between these two catalysts, I think you've got potential moonshot here in the near term. So just wanted to highlight that.
Cool. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
And I want to state for the record that I'd like my picks to roll over into this competition for next year,
Awesome.
if I can do that.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Igal, I see your hand raised. I am unmuting you right now.
Hey, okay. I told Ben most of the catalysts for GMGI, but there was a big one that I forgot to mention. They have a partnership now with Amelco, which is a tier 1 sports betting platform from the UK. And this agreement essentially allows GMGI to put sports betting to all of their 457 operators that they have globally, mainly in Asia. So right now, all of their operators in the Asia Pacific region are basically casinos. And now this partnership is going to allow all these casinos to start and have a tier 1 sports betting platform with their GMGI, in their GMGI platform itself. So that's another catalyst on top of the other ones that I already mentioned previously.
So, Igal, again, what are we waiting for on that? I got 450 plus operators in Asia, but what was the catalyst that triggers that?
Partnership with Amelco basically gives...
With who? I'm sorry, with who?
AMELCO.
AMELCO. Okay, and that's...
one sports betting platform out of the UK. And this partnership allows GMGI to bring sports betting to all the 457.
Is this a speculated partnership, or that just happened?
It's been announced already.
It's been announced. All right.
It's private. That's on top of the other deal that they've done, and they're waiting for the NASDAQ uplist as well.
Cool. Thank you. So you're so bullish, you're so long.
I'm waiting for 20 plus on this right now.
Wow. Wow.
I sold a single share. I'm up over 500% on it.
Wow. Wow.
It's actually
Unbelievable.
interesting. The sports betting in the U.S. is highly regulated. It's different from state to state, so it's hard to get into sports betting. But if they got into Asia sports betting and there's less rules on that, it could be a lot more
They are
lucrative.
trying to get into U.S. sports betting as well, and that is opening up to, I believe half the states in the U.S. right now allow sports betting.
Yep.
And COVID accelerated that. So they're really firing on all cylinders at this point.
That's good.
Once the NASDAQ decision, which could come any day, once that comes through, hopefully that's going to build some momentum on the stock.
All right. Thank you. What else we got from presenters here? I see something in the chat about, let me see, before we get to questions. There's something, can we call on Lionel? He wanted to add a comment on Unity. He says since Florian wasn't following it closely, he said he has been. So Lionel, if you can give us a quick update.
Yeah, Lionel, I just unmuted you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. So Unity, let's see. I'm just really excited about the total addressable market. I forgot the exact number, but in their S1 they mentioned, I think it's 27 billion for the gaming industry, and then right now their annual revenue is about 750 million. So it's really only the fraction of it that they have, but the total addressable market is huge. And then if you include like all the AR, VR, just any other sectors that the technology can be applied in their S1 that they mentioned, it's the multiple of 27 billion, that their total addressable market could be. So right now their stock price is really like richly valued. So I think it's really high risk, high return investment, but long term, I'm really excited about expansion beyond the gaming sectors, how their technology can be applied, just in like, I don't know,
Right.
AR construction, just a lot of things. And then in their recent quarter presentation, I think they're sandbagging their, let's see, the revenue for the fourth quarter. I think they're gonna beat it just fine. And then, yeah, like I said, it's really richly valued, but long-term, I think it's gonna be fine. I think it's gonna be multi-bagger still from here, the way I see it.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. We got lots of things in the chat here. Ben, I want to get to anyone who is a presenter first. Do we have anything else? Any added comments from presenters?
Hey, Christopher, I see your hand raised. I'm unmuting you right now.
I'd just like to add on IDN that they're performing incredibly well. Retail is still the dominant portion of their revenue, and more specifically, signing people up for retail companies' credit cards, like a Kohl's credit card and a Best Buy credit card, both of which are clients of theirs. And that kind of white label credit card business has been down about 80% since, in comparison to 2019. So they're still growing really quickly, and it's going to be a good 2020 because they have minimums that each of their clients pay them. But for the really huge jumps in the revenue to happen, we need them to further develop their other services or for retail to return to a more normal environment. I mean, there's still demand for those white label credit cards, and at some point, it's going to get met. And that's going to be a great quarter for IDN.
Okay.
But I do think Q4 won't be the blowout that it normally is. So I think there might be a buying opportunity sometime in the next month or two. All right, that's it.
Yeah, Chris, just a question. I didn't get that. You're saying that you think they're going to blow out Q4. So
It won't be the normal blowout. Q4.
It won't be.
It'll
Oh,
be
okay.
strong, probably 20 or 30% more than Q3 revenue.
Got it.
But historical trends are 50% more in Q4.
Got it. Thank you. Awesome. All right. I think that's all the presenters. I think there's a bunch of questions. Ben, if you could go through any of the questions in the chat.
Yeah, there's a lot in the chat here. It looks like the questions have been answered by other people in the chat, though.
Yeah, I think mostly everything in the chat got answered.
Yeah.
All right, let's poll for additional questions then. This is a great opportunity. We got lots of smart people. All the presenters are gracious enough to make some time to come back tonight and make themselves available to you, so take advantage of it. I already got some good information here. Have some ideas how to reallocate my portfolio tomorrow morning. I wouldn't have known to do that without these updates tonight, so really appreciate that so far.
I see Lionel, I see your hand raised. I'm going to oh, it looks like you're unmuted already. You can go whenever you're ready.
Okay, so let me just add one more thing why I think Unity's sandbagging their quarter four guidance. So the reason they stated on their Q4 guidance, they think because of like the COVID stay-at-home order, like there are a lot of growth that occurred in quarter three, but I think they're being conservative, and then considering how the stay-at-home restriction has gotten like even worse since then, I think it's really going to be a beat for Unity for Q4. So I just want to add that.
Okay. Great, thank you. We have plenty of other stuff to do, so I guess we're going to move on. If you have additional questions, you can go into the research groups for the individual rooms or talk in the VIP lounge. The VIP lounge, I know, is getting pretty chatty, probably because we renamed it from subscriber announcements to VIP lounge, but feel free to chat in there if you'd like. If it gets too busy, you want to talk about a particular stock, just go into the research group for that particular stock, and we should have research groups for each of these stocks.
Can I throw over a few questions on those presentations? Huh?
Are there more?
I have a few.
Oh, you have a few. Okay.
I'll just ask some quick ones.
All right, go ahead.
So Unity DT somewhere. Can you jump back to the previous? So one on WTRH. Have you closed that position, or is that...
I closed all my options over the last few months as it was going down. I made money on options, good money on the way up, and I lost some money on the way down on those. I still have a nice core. I didn't sell any of my, well, did I sell? I may have sold a little bit of my common, but I kept most of my common shares. And I just, it's undervalued. So keeping common shares isn't too risky. I'm fine with that, yeah.
And then EGAL on GMGI. I kind of thought of this stock as one that had peaked, but the way you're talking about it, it still has a long runway, which is crazy because you mentioned it when it was much, much lower. How far do you see this company going in the future? Do you see it getting like bought out or something like that?
We unmute him?
Oh yeah, we can unmute him.
He may have. Oh, there he is.
There we go. Okay. So, I mean, the stock has come up a lot, but the market cap is relatively low compared to its closest competitor. I think its market cap right now is about 147 million, while the competitor GAN, which is GAN, is at like 720 million. I do see a lot of runway. I actually am more bullish now than I was 3 months ago. And I just, with these partnerships and with where, where it's expanding, I think that the biggest partnership that I'm really excited with is Playtech. So Playtech is the largest operator in the world for online gambling. And they've announced that partnership, I think it was about a month ago right now. And I do eventually see if GMGI keeps firing and they start making headway in the US, Playtech will just buy them out. So that's my buy-up play. I mentioned it previously, and I think that's the only one that potentially could buy them out at this point because of that partnership. But they are firing on all cylinders, and I'm just really excited for it. I do see $20 plus before Q3.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Was it around $1 you got in? When was it that you were aggressively pushing it in the rooms and I didn't listen to you? When was that?
Got in pre-split, so it was like $1.15, something like that.
$1.15. Amazing.
Nice.
Wow. Good job. We should give you an award just for that.
I always like to get into stocks early, but I miss some opportunities when a stock like doubles or triples and people are telling me it's going to go even further, it's going to do even better. And I'm like, nah, the risk reward doesn't look good. But in this case, it seems like there's still time to get in and do very well.
But I just, just based on the news that's coming out, and the float is still very low. It's not like there's so much. So once the news comes and people really start getting behind it, it could fly.
I remember liking the CEO on this, and his honesty and his background.
Yeah, he's cool, and he's Australian, which is an extra point.
And then I just had a question on INMB for Dan Carlson.
Dan. Here we go.
Yeah.
So Dan, it sounds like INMB has catalysts in January, and they're going to have data on their Alzheimer's drug, and that sounds great. But I think what happens after that? So it sounds like it's going to do well in January, and then do they have like more phases and more data come out?
Yeah, I mean, if they have, they're already planning the phase 2 for the Alzheimer's, and so that would start, shortly thereafter, right?
Yep.
And then in terms of their COVID drug, it's pretty interesting because if they get the go ahead to continue, because they'll be going the whole time waiting to hear back. They'll probably complete the trial, be my guess, in February. So you'll get the results from that in March. And what's exciting about that is they only really have one drug. They repurpose it and rename it for different programs, but it's really one drug. So if they get, it's a pivotal phase 2 trial, so they can go straight to approval if they do well. So you might see them getting approval for COVID, sometime in Q2, which accelerates every program because it's the same drug they're using across all their programs. So then you start saying, okay, well then, will it be able to be approved in Alzheimer's faster as a result of this? And the answer is yes. Will it be used off-label for cytokine storms associated with CAR T programs? Yes. So it's kind of game-changing. Whether or not the vaccine removes COVID as an actual use for the drug in 6 months doesn't really matter. Getting approval opens a number of possibilities for them as a result.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a ton, but
I know.
we'll run out of time.
Yeah, but these are the most amazing list of stocks to talk about. So, all right. So let's move on then. All right, we're gonna Ben Resnick, if you can generate, well, you can access this file later in the shared drive. If you can generate like a PDF out of these 2 slides in particular, I think that'll be really helpful for the community as a reference sheet.
Okay, will do.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So next thing we wanted to go, we tried something new this past Wednesday night, and I had wanted to start it, like I wanted to have that meeting right before Christmas. It just didn't work out. So we did it a little bit late, trade of the month. Before we go through the ideas that were picked, it really had to do mostly about the January effect and the tax loss selling that happens in December, and the optimism that often comes at the beginning of the year, combined with a lot of deals that are often announced at the beginning of the year. So that was the idea behind doing a trade of the week competition, but for a full month, trade of the month. So we're going to see how it goes. Maybe it's something that will continue each month, or maybe we'll end up doing a trade of the quarter. And we'll keep trade of the week going as well. So these were the picks that were made Wednesday night. There was one trading day so far, and actually, Rob, you picked INMB, Dan Carlson's INMB. That was already up 9% in one day. So good job on that. And we'll see how it's going. I picked Drio and SMSI because, Rob, you picked SMSI. Drio has a lot of potential deals that we're expecting. Very similar story and timing as SMSI. A lot of potential deals that may be announced in January. Also, it may be similar with SMSI in that they're not allowed to announce it yet, things like that. But, that's 4 weeks of possible announcements for Drio. So I picked that as my trade of the month. It is my largest position. I don't know, Rob, if did we want to add any comments to the rest of these? I guess Ben just we'll screenshot that and make that available to the group as well you may have already done it, but in the trade of the week room. Let's put
I guess a few of these picks weren't called in the meeting, but they were called in chat later after the meeting.
Right.
But they were added in. And not all of these had pillar scores.
Right. That's why you see NA on some of the polls as well.
Yeah.
And we allowed people to pick multiple, vote on multiples. That's why you see it doesn't add up to 100%. Those are multiple choice there.
And some of them had very low pillar scores because they were just kind of beaten down tax loss selling
one
stuff.
very particular one. It must have been, was it the one with the lowest pillar score? Here it is. LTCCF. That's interesting to point out because that's a pure January effect stock, poor fundamentals and everything else. But the stock is just so cheap that Chris Hampton sees that rebounding in January. So that's a potential play to look at.
I actually have a complaint about all the presentation stocks. I wasn't able to do a lot of tax loss selling this year because all the presentation stocks went up.
Yeah, amazing. Very well done, guys. All right, so with that, we're going to move on to Trade of the Week. It's 10 o'clock as promised, so we're running a little overtime. Let's see if we can get some people to participate. You know how it works. What stocks do you believe is an inflection point this week? I mean, this week there's probably a lot to choose from. Beginning of the year, catalyst and sentiment galore. Probably a lot of good technical setups. So let's get rocking. Raise your hands. And let me get set up with the poll entries. Actually, you know what? Let's Ben, if you can stop the cloud recording now. We don't need to put this on cloud recording.